All right, today we are going to arguably do the first step in making maple syrup. And the reason I say arguably is because today we're going to tap a tree, we're going to put the bucket on, and we're going to start collecting sap, which sounds like the beginning, right? But before you hang those buckets, there's at least two things you got to do. The first thing, and this is a year in advance, you need to cut the firewood for your evaporator, get it cut and stacked, and so that when it's time to boil the sap, it's you got some dry firewood to work with, okay? That's the first thing. The second thing, evaporator. Is your evaporator working? Do you have everything set and ready to go there? I know quite often I'll find like a mummified mouse or a mummified squirrel in my evaporator, so that needs to be cleaned. Last thing you want to do is have all this sap ready to boil. You open up the evaporator and there's a dead mouse in there, a dead squirrel, right? So make sure your evaporator is ready and make sure you got the wood. Okay, so let me pause it and I'll show you what we're looking for a tree. All right, so we're going to be tapping maple trees. There are other trees you can tap for syrup. I know people do birch. I've heard black walnut is really good, but out here in Western Quebec, we do maple. Okay, so this is the tree we're going to tap. And I know this is a good tree because I can see here, this is a scar from a previous tap. This is a scar from a previous tap, so I've tapped this tree before. This tree right up beside it is a monster tree. And you can tell that bark is considerably different. We're not going to tap that tree. That is a poplar. But here's the tree I wanted to show you, because when I first moved off grid 22, 23 years ago, and I was cutting firewood, I wanted a nice hard maple for firewood. And I quite often thought this tree was a maple tree because it's got similar bark. But when I start to cut through, I'm like, oh man, my saw is really sharp today. But the saw wasn't sharp. It's just this is a much, much softer wood, so the saw ripped through it. And just as the bark is or the tree is softer, so is the bark. So you can see how the bark just flips off nice and easy. That's what a basswood does, whereas the maple, it's much firmer bark. Okay, so let's get to work tapping this tree. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you have the right bit. This is actually a bit designed specifically for drilling into maple trees. I got it from the maple supply store. I've heard that this bit, with whatever special design it has, does burrow into trees better than your standard bit. You want to go about 1.5 to 2 inches deep. That's why I've put this tape on there. That's 2 inches in, so I won't go any deeper than that. You want to go pretty much horizontal. I go a little bit, uphill drilling in. And you also don't want to be too close to a previous hole, because that wood is scarred, so the sap won't flow as well. Okay, so previous hole is there. I come here, drill slightly uphill. And there we go. So the tap is in, the hole is in. Now I want to get our little spigot here, put it in the hole, and like Happy Gilmore, tap, tap, tappy, tap it in. There we go. Then we just hang the bucket, and because we don't want it filling up with rainwater, then we just move that camera a bit. Because we don't want to fill it up with rainwater, you get this cool little lid. Just slide this pin, put it through the hole, and bada bing, bada boom, Bob's your uncle. There we go. Arguably, the first step of collecting sap is in place. Now we just wait for it to start to run and fill the bucket. All right, see you in episode 2, where we're going to check out the buckets once they've got some sap in it, and yeah, go from there. All right, see you next video.